DMZ Season 3 has just been revealed, and this is one of the biggest overhauls to DMZ since launch, introducing several new systems that are going to change DMZ forever. So let's fill you in with it all, as well as everything coming for Season 3 of Modern Warfare 2. So let's first talk about the new barter system. This is going to work via an in-game trader who is going to exist within the buy station that will allow you to stock up on items and swap them for other valuables. The twist here is that in general, the trader may not have the items that you want, but they will always have what you need. Now, they haven't gone into any more detail with this, but I'd imagine that this will really help with all of those really useless small items that we pick up in DMZ can finally be traded for something more valuable. Now, another massive addition to DMZ is the addition of a workbench, which can be found near buy stations and allows you to modify contraband weapons on the fly in the game. For a small cash fee, the workbench will allow an operator to add attachments that they've unlocked for the contraband's weapon platform onto a piece of contraband or remove them piece by piece, with an example given that this will be really helpful for when a 5x scope doesn't fit on a fast-firing SMG, or when a sniper rifle needs an extended mag. The workbench will become another way to spend that hard-earned cash on something impactful for that infiltration and beyond. Now, to me, this is the real game changer, as most of us that have all the guns max rank, if we come across a gun which doesn't have the attachments we want, we can now take that to workbench and essentially make it become the meta build of the weapon without having to bring it in specifically as an insured weapon. Now, of course, this is going to cost money to do in game, but I think this is absolutely huge because this is going to make so many more weapons viable that you find. You can easily make every weapon that ends up in contraband as a proper meta version of that weapon. But the biggest new feature has to be active duty operator slots. Now, they show it off here in this screenshot as a visual representation, as in Season 3, you won't just have one operator to infiltrate, as every player will start with 3 active duty operator slots, which equates to having 3 separate operators who have their own on-soldier items, including their own backpack, plate carrier, kill streak, self-revive, and gas mask. Every time you go into DMZ, you'll now be given the choice of which operator you want to bring in, meaning you can calculate the risk to whatever missions you want to tackle or the type of experience you want to have in that match. If you die as one of these active operators, you can go ahead and stock up on more large backpacks and large armor vests for the other operators, so if you die and lose your stuff in that run, you can then switch to another operator that is all geared up and ready to go, meaning you don't have to jump in bare bones trying to scavenge again because you have some backup operators that will already have loot ready. That is such a huge update and will allow you to build different operators depending on what sort of game you're gonna have, such as if you're gonna build up a character specifically to do major story missions and Building 21 runs, and you can have another operator which is specifically designed to get loot back quicker than others without risking too much. But it doesn't stop there. We already got a new faction in Season 2, but Season 3 we're getting a new faction called Redacted. They are an unknown faction and they will have 3 of its mission tiers at launch and 2 more coming in season. And there is not 1 but 2 new bosses coming into DMZ. We have a screenshot here of what we can assume is one of them, which we know one leaked a while ago is called the Pyro, and we can see it has quite a few explosive cans attached to its backpack as well as a riot shield. No idea what the second boss is going to be, but the blog also teases that there is going to be something deep underground in Al Mazrah, and that there is going to be a dedicated DMZ blog that will be released before Season 3's launch, which also will detail about new backpack and plate carrier types. Because if we look in the Season 3 roadmap, it mentions that there are new backpacks coming to DMZ, which is really cool. Now, Infinity Ward are also introducing a new set of faction missions for this upcoming season, as well as a new contract in-game called a Secure Supplies contract. Now, this will flag containers that will have essential gear for DMZ, which is a really great way for you to get built up after a previous run where you didn't extract. And I think these are all incredibly good changes to see. I'd love to know all your thoughts on these changes in the comment section below, but there are some interesting Warzone changes which I think are also going to affect DMZ, that being the introduction of tempered plate carriers. This was a feature that was added in Caldera, which changes how your operator handles armor plates. And with a tempered plate carrier equipped, your armor will be 2 half bars instead of 3/3, making it easier and more efficient to replay after one or both are cracked. As I'm sure you've been aware of the trailers that have been playing in the background of the video, there's also some really cool stuff coming for Season 3 in general. We've got the return of some absolutely iconic weapons coming into Modern Warfare 2 with the Intervention, now the FJX Imperium. We got a sneak peek first look at this at the start of the week thanks to FaZe Dirty, who got to playtest it a bit early and show it on one of the new multiplayer maps. And yeah, it's fantastic to see the Intervention back in Modern Warfare 2. It just makes sense. And on top of that, we have another gun called the Cronin Squall, which is a battle rifle, which at first I was like, is this the Scar? I really can't tell. We're going to just have to wait and see. There are also 2 new sidearms coming within Season 3 Reloaded, which is always welcomed. But for me, who's interested in some new Spec Ops content, there's actually going to be a new mission as well as Raid Episode 3 coming in the mid-season. The first new mission is going to take players to the Las Almas cartel somewhere in Al Mazrah in an all-out fight for survival alongside the next episode of the raids, which I think was pretty awesome with what we got with episode 2. But in terms of the multiplayer content, I think people are going to be very impressed with this compared to the other seasons. Like, this genuinely seems like a season that is packed full of content for a change. We're getting 3 6v6 maps, which is a hell of a lot more than we've had before. One of them is brand new called Paleo's Lighthouse, which we get to see a little bit of gameplay here with the FJX Imperium, which looks fantastic. There is another new map coming called Black Gold, which is the first iteration of a nighttime map for Modern Warfare 2. We saw them experiment with this a bit in MW 2019, but it's going to be interesting to see how it plays in this game. And then we're also getting 2 new ground war maps, which aren't really new per se, but getting Rohan Oil as well as Satik Cave Complex, which has the Afghan plane in the middle. So you've got that pretty much Afghan section of the map within a massive ground war space. Now, I think there's a very interesting reason why we're not seeing Afghan as a 6v6 map and we didn't see Terminal as a 6v6 map. Is probably leading on to the fact that we're likely to see that in COD 2023 as a multiplayer map. Surprisingly, we're also getting another new 6v6 map coming later in season called Albaran Hatchery. From the image, it actually looks pretty cool. Now, there's also a ton of new modes coming into the game, some we've seen in previous games like Cranked, which is coming at launch, Face Off, which is coming in season, which was in Modern Warfare 3, classic 3v3 mode, Ground War Infected is going to be coming in season, and this image you can just see which looks like 32 zombies. Like, that looks absolutely crazy, to be honest. Warzone is getting its fair share of changes. We spoke a lot earlier about the temper plate carriers. They're also adding UAV towers that were in DMZ into Warzone, which is pretty interesting. There's also a new feature coming mid-season called the Decontamination Station, which is essentially the same thing that was in Caldera. It's a life-saving field upgrade which creates a bubble of safe air within the gas so you can stay alive. On top of adding perk package items which can be found in supply drops, as well as deployable buy stations and gulag entry kits. On top of there being a new gulag, there's just quite a lot of stuff they're doing with season 3, and it sounds really good. Honestly, this seems like a great return to form for Call of Duty, and I really hope that all the new DMZ additions will help keep the game feeling fresh. Because I don't know, are you at the point now where you're done most of the tier 5 missions? Are you nearly there? Whilst they haven't added a new map, this is definitely gonna tide us over until season 4, I'm sure. If you found this video useful and informative, please drop a thumbs up and subscribe, because I'll keep you guys posted on everything DMZ season 3. Should be really soon.